Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the third Thursday monthly call with the Land People. We assist with landowners, agribusiness network, and development. This call is for the Grow Well, Aiken County New Beginning Women and Veteran Farmers. I am your host, Natasha Janelle, and welcome to this evening's call. So I do have just a few announcements for Grow Well Aiken County. So we have the Agricultural Food Special Project at the Pack Theater on Saturday, October 5th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's at Aiken High School at 449 Rutland Drive in Aiken, South Carolina, 29801. Again, that is on October the 5th. On October the 12th, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. on a Saturday, and which will also be a monthly event every second Saturday. We have the C4 Lyfe, and please bring all the children out to be a part of this wonderful event. It is at 307 Gentry Street in Graniteville, South Carolina, 29829. And the last thing we have on the list for October is the Annabelle Family Farm event. Grow Well has been invited to come out to the Sand Hills Ag and Arts Fest. And that's going to be in Ridge Spring, South Carolina on October 26th. And you can follow us on Grow Well Aiken County on all social media, and that address and flyer should be present there if the address is needed. So definitely come by for information and resources, and we will have activities for the kids as well with our C4 Lyfe. And again, every Thursday at 7 p.m. we have our Grow Well Aiken County call for the New Beginning Women and Veteran Farmers. So this month's special guest is Miss Keturah Bey. And Keturah owns many gifts to share with humanity, from cosmetology, metaphysics, farming and horticulture, culinary and healing arts, crafting products, and many, many more. Her gifts have granted her the opportunity to travel to deposit healthy vibrations throughout. The passion she possesses for holistic health and wellness was discovered through her journey of self-discovery, healing issues with the use of plant medicine and mindfulness, listening to her body, bringing 90% of her best NRG over time. A contented state of happy or happy, healthy and prosperous. This is Healthy Vybr8shnz. Replenish yourself with life. Please welcome Miss Keturah Bey. How you doing, Keturah? You're on mute. Can you unmute yourself for me?
Greetings. How about now?
Awesome. Yes, I can hear you. Welcome to the Grow Well Aiken County call. How you doing this evening?
Greetings, Natasha. All is well, and thank you so much for the invite. It's good to be able to feel like there is a need, for the information, because here in Augusta, they're kind of small pockets. You just have to get connected, with those that are open to to the information. But thank you so much. Gratitude for the invite, and have a few things that I wanted to share with everyone. And so they're centered around the land, of course, land trust, acquiring property, purchasing land. Also a little bit of metaphysics on food and mental health, and the list does go on. And so I'm open for Q&A as well after we delve into our discussion. And so would you like for me to start? Any questions? Okay. And so first I can start by sharing a little bit of my experience with acquiring land and how I actually got into the business, because it is a business now, of course, of farming, growing food, agriculture, and what have you. And so there's a group of people that I came into contact with in Stone Mountain. And one of the brothers that was working this particular community farm is Vybr8shnz. And prior to meeting him, I had the opportunity to go out to the community farm and just put in some work. This was maybe about a month or two before I actually had the opportunity to meet Ibrima. But and from there, even prior to that, growing up as a little girl, my mother, she always had some type of food growing. Something was always growing, whether it's tomatoes, okra, we always had something growing. And so needless to say, it doesn't take a whole lot of space and area to do that. If you have pots, flower pots and, buckets, there's so many conventional ways of growing food. And so the goal is to grow your own and know the source of where your food is coming from. So we know now that so much is happening with the food source. They're tampering with the food. We have a lot of food recalls, where they're saying, the food is, there's listeria and all these different things, that's come about. And so I don't think it's a just so happened to be thing. I feel like it's it's been in the making for years, and so the goal has always been to get rid of the original people. Just plainly to say, the goal is to get rid of us. However, we came with the land, and there's a science to that as well, which maybe we can get into later. If not, if I'm welcome to come back for another, meeting, we can get into more of the science of, how they are manipulating the system to keep us out. So keep us out as far as purchasing land, as far as food security, because you can definitely tell that anywhere you travel on the map, once you cross the railroad track, it looks different. It takes on a whole different vibration and everything. And so that lets us know that the MLK boulevards and, these places are highly populated with our people. And it looks different. We don't have the same level of, or the same quality of the road systems, the land in itself. It's not the same when you go up the road to Evans and Martinez and, some of those other areas. And so at any rate, just speaking to the fact that it's long overdue for us as a people to pool together. And what that looks like is practicing group economics. And so group economics is centered around the coming together of the people and deciding how we want to, navigate, set up our own school systems, grow our own food and so on and so forth. And so the list goes on, and so really it's just a matter of coming together of the people, so that we can be more efficient and more effective in making decisions for our health and well-being, because that's what's at stake. You know, without your health, you really have nothing. There is no wealth. And so the goal for them is to terminate as many of the original people as they possibly can. However, we're like, what is the saying? We don't die, we multiply. And so we're going to keep going. So the goal is that in order to keep going, you know, you want to have something to pass down from generation to generation. And so with that being said, it speaks to how I was able to inherit property. And coming down to Augusta, or coming back to Augusta in 2020, I had the opportunity to take care of a loved one that called on me, and was so much entailed in the whole process once she transitioned. You know, it was a process. It was a big process in getting those affairs in order, you know. And so what that looks like is it's a lot of paperwork involved. If we as a people have not taken care of the affairs of setting up a trust, any type of insurance, you know, this is what they're able to live off of now, insurance, you know. And so with setting up a trust, it gives you the opportunity to keep the property within the scope of the family. And at any rate, coming down in 2020, I was put in a position that I'm not going to say I have expectations, because I don't. I wasn't expecting it. However, I knew that it was going to be more to do once my aunt, you know, transitioned. And so it was a lot to do. Setting up a trust was one of the things that I knew before she left the earth that I had to go ahead and put into place. And so I was able to set up a trust, put the property in a trust, and along with all the other things that was entailed in that. And so we know as a people, sad to say, that when we have loved ones that transition, it doesn't have to be a fight. However, you know, everybody wants a part of what they think is left behind. And so at any rate, not to get into all the gory details of that, but the goal is to, whether it's inheriting property or acquiring property, everything needs to go in a trust. And there is a book that I acquired some years ago in reference to land trust for privacy and profit. And in addition to that, you know, becoming privy to the significance of setting up a trust, I took a civics and government class back in 2013. And it really helped me with insight on, you know, what to do if you inherit property, or setting up a trust and a will and all of these things that, you know, that the system requires. And so with that, I had to put that information to work. You know, it's different when you have the information, but when you actually have to use it, you know, it's a whole different ball game. And so what happened is that it helped me also to sharpen my sword in that area, you know, where I can at least, you know, show other people or speak to other people about the significance of setting up a trust and how you can benefit from that. And so it also cuts out like the middleman. You know, I don't want to say they're the middleman, but the system is, you know, they want you to go through their process, you know, so that means what that looks like is, you know, probate. Everything goes into probate court, and then it's just a fight, and then it's a wait, you know, and so to disregard or not have to deal with probate, you want to set up a trust. You set up your trust, and it cuts out all of the extra noise that can be included in, you know, acquiring your property. And so land trust for privates and private. Yes, so this was a big experience for me, having to do this, go through the process of setting up a trust, because like I said, I've only read about it, taken some notes on it, but I'd never had the experience of, you know, having to physically do it up until 2021. And I'm very grateful for all aspects of my journey. I'm very grateful for, because it's a lesson in everything. And that's basically the way that I see it. It's, you know, everything is a lesson. And so with that, I set up the trust, still had a few things to do within the scope of that process, dealing with the system, the courts. And it was simple, though. It was simple. It was basically ridding myself of the problems with relatives that comes with you know, acquiring property and what have you. And so at any rate, um that is one of the main this is one of the main things that got me here back to Augusta, was you know, the care for my aunt, and having to really put things in its proper perspective, which is getting your affairs in order. And our children are being taught in a system that, I'm going to say it's selfish, because they're not going to teach our children that you need to have multiple streams of income. You know, when you finish school, they're not going to teach you that. And so it's really up to us as a people to sit down with them and teach them the importance of ownership and control, the importance of the importance of building and creating for self. Not necessarily for self. I'm saying building and creating something that you can pass down from generation to generation. I think that in this day and age that we're in now, you do have, there are more pockets of people, our people, that are becoming aware, you know, of the system and the dogma of the system, and how our children are being taught. And so it's really up to us, though. It's up to us as parents to give them a level of structure that they're not going to get in school. You know, they're in school for several hours of the day, and once it's time to graduate, I guess I have to speak for myself, more so, but I do see it because I have grandchildren, and I have adults that are adulting. And so speaking to for myself, the things that I got out of school, some of those things I've been able to use where I'm at now on my journey, and a lot of it I hadn't been able to do anything with. And so being brought up overseas, the educational system is a little different. You know, we got to physically do things. So swimming was a part of our education. Tennis. They were always outside activities. And so when you look at the system now, or here in the States, if a child is learning geography, they should be on the outside, not sitting in a classroom for an hour and a half learning geography, because geography is centered around the earth, the planet. And so it would just make sense to, to have them on the outside learning something that's centered around the geographic location that they're in and surrounding areas. And so at any rate, speaking to the system, I feel like it does take a village to raise a child. And I feel like we have gotten away from assisting our younger sisters and brothers with that. And they're looking for guidance now. They really are. They're looking for guidance, and they're looking for a level of structure, that's going to help or assist with pointing them in a direction of having direction. You understand? So if we can reach the youth, if we can reach the youth and bring them into the fold and teach them the significance of land, because we have elders that they don't have their property anymore. Either they've transitioned and the property is sitting, and then the commission comes in, this tax commission comes in, they buy the property, and that's it, it's over. However, the money is there. So if the family or the relatives don't know that this money is sitting, waiting for you to come and make a claims on it, guess who gets the money? The tax commissions get the money, because you never claim the money. And so when we're teaching the children or the young adults the significance of having property, having a house, having property, and if grandma is gone, you can still have this property, but there's a process that comes with that. You got to go through the process in order to acquire that. And so there's so many components to land ownership and control. When we begin to practice or operate with weology, I just learned this from listening to Dr. Khalid Ibire. And he's a beautiful psychologist, and he sets up at Sirius Sage. If you all are ever interested in joining, he has seminars every Thursday. Every Thursdays at 7:30. Not to interfere with this, because this is new for me, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be a part of the land people. And so at any rate, practicing weology is it's about unity. It's about a coming together of people, and just really learning how to navigate our way outside of the scope of what we've been taught, because what we've been taught is a bit contradicting to what we are physically having to experience now. And so speaking to nourishing the mind, getting into the science of food, I've always had an interest in food, and growing up as a little girl, I found myself not as interested in meat per se, because I knew that it's a living something. It's a living being. It's something that has life. And so as a little girl, I'm always the last one sitting at the table because I just couldn't push through eating the meat. I have always had a problem with eating the meat. And so over the years, yeah, I've had my fair share of it, as an adult, eating what, I was taught that I had to eat. We were taught about the food pyramid, which is not accurate. And with that in mind, we're learning that we have to have this and so many servings of that, and it's not so, which actually brought me to a place of taking more of an interest in growing my own food. And so my mother, like I said, she always had something growing. Just recently learned that my great grandfather, he had healing hands and he was an herbalist. And that's what's flowing through me now, the energy of my great grandfather. And they had land in Mississippi, which is now occupied by a gas station because they had no knowledge of this land having oil. They had oil on the land. And when our people are put in positions of feeling desperate, or, having those feelings of lack, or just wanting more money, you get rid of things that are so significant before thinking logically about, that action. You're actually getting ready to sell this land. Before my aunt transition, I wanted to hear more about that land in Mississippi. I wanted to hear more. I wanted to know more about that land. And I remember her sharing with me that there was some people that had the same name, the same last name, that, that was the family name, and they were able to buy this land. And later to find out there was oil on the land. And being who I am, I'm still wanting to do some research. I'm still feeling like it's got to be another way, to something more to it. I did a little bit of research, and when I made the initial phone call, it was a gas station that was actually built there. And I asked a couple of questions. After the first question, you can tell that they're not willing to give you any information. The first question was, I asked them who they were. And the second question was, how were they able to acquire the land, that property? And the guy said he didn't know what I was talking about. Well, that was a simple question. And so at any rate, you kind of get to know, once you do your due diligence in researching, and it's got to be a better way. And so at any rate, speaking to food and land, I'd always had an interest in food after realizing that I wasn't excited about, eating meat as a child. And then later to learn that the reason is I just didn't have it just wasn't in me to eat it. Later on through the years, though, I was a meat consumer. I ate meat because that was, like I said, that was like the normal thing to do. But my body started speaking to me. Early on, and having to address some simple issues, you know, and then going to the hospital, going to the doc's office, and you know, you got to go through all this process of undressing, and you know, it was just, I didn't like doing that. I didn't like it. I took from that there's got to be another way. There's got to be a way around this where I don't have to deal with them, and I don't have to take my clothes off, and I don't have to go through all these things just for them to see about me. So I have to see about me. That's what would always play in my mind. I have to see about me. And so that's how I was able to learn more about um, herbal remedies, you know, just natural things that I could use to heal my body with. Everything from bladder issues, UTIs, you know, which is common in women. And it's not there. A UTI is not always sexually transmitted. You know, you can be cleaning yourself improperly and develop a UTI. You can drink, you can consume coffee, too much coffee, and you can acquire a bladder infection. So there are means of getting those, having those, acquiring those issues. But at any rate, having to learn how to take care of myself as you know, a young lady and a female, this is just what I had to do. I had to look for things and ways to take care or remedy whatever issues I was having. And so I was able to treat a bladder infection when I was in my union. And yeah, I remember telling my ex that I'm not going to the doc's office just for that. You know, I'm going to take care of it myself. So that's when the researching began, and you know, just experimenting with different herbs and what have you. And so for the bladder, you can use parsley, fresh parsley. I would put some fresh parsley in some hot water, let it sit, and it's pulling the, extracting the medicine from the parsley. You drink the parsley water, baking soda. You know, you can get you maybe about a half of a teaspoon of baking soda, put it in some distilled water, spring water, and drink it. And what it does is that it balances out the pH. The baking soda does. It kind of reestablishes the pH. Um, the Oh my gosh, the parsley, it controls the medicine in the parsley. Actually, it controls the spasms that you get, you know, in your bladder when you're experiencing a bladder infection. There are other properties to that as well. But just speaking to how I had to learn how to take care of myself, you know, without feeling like, I'm not going to say humiliated in the doc's office, but it's kind of like for women, you know, you got to take off all your clothes. You know, you got a male doc coming in to, like, you know, to look at parts of your body that you just may not want him to see, you know. So, and then what's happening from there is that is perpetuated. That process is passed down from generation to generation. You know, our daughters and daughters' daughters are learning the same process until we step in and teach them something different, that there's a better way. You know, once you learn about herbs and, you know, how to live off of the land, you know, you can take care of yourself. And so one of the I came across some encyclopedias. It's maybe around 2009, 2010, if not prior to that. And they are called the Encyclopedia of Foods. And these encyclopedias, you have 3 volumes. So, and you have to have all 3 encyclopedias in order to follow the books, because one book may reference you to the second volume. But these encyclopedias have so much information in them, and there are foods in here that you just you wouldn't believe that the benefits of them. And so these books have been with me, and I use them as teaching, learning tools over the years. But they give you a breakdown of everything. Recently realizing myself as a plant-based, why am I always sauteing my food? I love sauteing my food. And so what I'm coming to now is that I can do less sauteing and do more steaming, because it's going to hold more of the nutrients, by steaming my food. And so, but I have brochures for the encyclopedias. If anybody's interested, I can leave my information so that you can reach out and share with you where you can acquire these encyclopedias at. But these, I recommend people that are truly and sincerely into wellness and what you're taking in. Everything is like tampered with now. The food is tampered with now. And so you just can't go and buy fruit and veggies and think that you're getting the best quality of food anymore, unless you're growing it yourself. There is just to speak to the plant-based or the people that are eating as healthy as possible. There is a Black Vegan Festival coming up in Jacksonville, Florida in October. And let me check the date of that again. And I've been invited to come out and do some vending. I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna attend for vending, but I would like to go. So I'll give you a little more information on that. Let's see. Excuse me one moment. Dalo Sekou. Yes, and this is a good friend of mine's, the family. I met Dalo and Angela in 2013 when I attended Summit of the Moors, and was able to come across a lot of information in that. And so let's see, the event is insurance hack. Excuse me. This is what. Just looking for the event here. Stop by. My dad. At any rate, I will I'll pass the information on. But the name, you can find him on Facebook, and I think they do have a YouTube page as well. The name is Diallo, Diallo.
It's October 26th.
It's
October 26th.
October 26th. Thank you, Empress. Yes, and so for people that may be just starting out on a journey of wellness and pushing away from the meat, I think that if you have an opportunity to attend an event as such, I think that you'll benefit a lot from it, because you get to experience the diversity in eating plant-based, that it's not all it's not bland food. It's actually really good. And the goal is to be healthy. And so sometimes it doesn't mean that the food has to taste extremely good, you know, in order to give you the health benefits that you need. So, you know, I recommend that, you know, people that are on this journey to wellness, you know, that's you can participate if you know, if you want to just kind of have have a good experience. Just have a good experience with transitioning from, you know, from meat. And yes, and so my food encyclopedias, what else? Is there anything that you may have some curiosity about,
Yeah, I have
Empress?
a question. So do you know what type of trust that family should look into to set up?
Uh, let's see. Well, I do actually. Initially, you want to set up a doesn't necessarily have to be a land trust because, of course, you know, the land trust is dealing with land and putting the trust in the, I mean, putting the land in the trust. Um, in which if you do a trust specifically centered around, let's see, your property, inherited property, let's see. Okay. Yeah, there's a variety of trusts that you can set up actually. So, uh, let me see. Allodial versus feudal means free and um okay, and so just looking at some information here. Yeah, so what I did was I set up um initially we did a living trust. A living trust. Yeah, we did a living trust because I set it up before she transitioned, and which is what you really want to do. You want to set things up before you have a loved one, you know, a relative or anybody that transitions. You want to go ahead and set up a living trust. And the trust that I actually set up was a revocable trust. And with the revocable, you have a revocable and you have an irrevocable trust. And with the revocable trust, you can go in and make any necessary changes that you need to make on that trust. And with the irrevocable trust, everything is pretty much is set in stone. You have to follow, you know, the guidelines and the structure of that trust if it's an irrevocable trust. And so I would recommend doing a revocable trust based on the fact that you can alter it. You can, I don't want to necessarily say alter, but you can go in and make amends. You can, you know, you can make whatever changes you feel like you need to make within the scope of that trust. And so, yes, but I would recommend doing a revocable trust. And also, it just prevents you from having to deal with the courts, you know, probate and that type of deal. Because once it goes to probate, it's just a long, drawn out process, you know, and they can hold on to your property for, you know, an indefinite amount of time, which is not necessary in my, my perspective.
Taxes all over again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All over again.
Yeah.
So, can you provide the information on how we can access or order the food encyclopedias?
Yes, I can. And so what I need to do is find the brochures. I have a few of the brochures.
Okay.
And if I can step away for a minute.
Oh, no, you don't have to. I can just,
Okay.
I was just hoping to have some of the, have the information in case, somebody want to check it out. But what we'll do is, we can tell people how to find you on social media, and maybe you
Mm,
can do a video or something about the food encyclopedias, and that way we can kind of, add a link or something. But I did
okay.
put the information for the Black Vegan Festival, October 26th in Jacksonville, Florida, inside of the chat. And I also put their website where people can follow that as well.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. And I'll reach out to him and let him know, that he may get an influx of people, that are interested. Like I said, personally, I'm not sure if I'm going to attend, but I would like to. And so, as far as vending, though, I know that they want me to come down to vend, and I haven't formulated that in my mind yet, to do. However, it's a passion. It's definitely a passion of mine, and I do enjoy serving healthy alternatives to food, that we have out here now, and so I'm considering it.
So can you tell us about some of your services and how people can reach you?
Absolutely. Um, I will say this also, as far as my contact, I intentionally left out the social media platforms on my business cards, mainly because I feel like it's a bit impersonal, when we're getting to know people. And also, these platforms are taking over now, and people are not physically engaging, or we don't have that weology, that coming together of the people anymore, because the distraction is within the scope of the platforms. And so I just intentionally left them off of my business cards, because I prefer to to make contact with people outside of the scope of social media. However, I don't mind giving the page, the my platforms. So one is Instagram, and I am Alchemy. Let me see, Alchemy, Alchemist K2, and it's gonna be the same handle as Facebook, Alchemist K2, ALCHEMIST K2 KETU, and I have two Gmails. One is Synchronized One, which is SYNCHRONIZEDONE and the number 3 at gmail.com. And then I can be reached at ALCHEMISTKET13U@gmail.com.
So, well, gratitude. I definitely appreciate you. You provided a lot of information, definitely a lot of things for people to think about, especially when talking about acquiring land and also passing land down. I love that you actually touched on um, family land. Inherited land is huge, especially um, when it when people don't understand how to properly pass it down, and it's so easily everything gets caught up in probate court, which takes a lot of jumping through hoops to get it done, and then we wind up paying for our land again
Hmm.
just to pass it down. So
Yeah.
definitely so much gratitude, even dropping the little tidbits on how we can take care of UTIs by rebalancing with that baking soda and that fresh parsley. So that was awesome information. Keturah, we are in so much gratitude for you coming on and speaking this evening, and gratitude for everyone joining us tonight. And you can tune in every third Thursday of the month for our new beginning, Women and Veteran Farmers with Grow Well, Aiken County, with the land people. Again, I'm the host, Natasha Janelle. I have a great night. Gratitude.
Gratitude.